Okay, welcome to this playlist around the board reattachment and rebacking of this enormous tome, which is a first edition copy of Thomas Fuller's work, A Church History of Britain, that was printed in the year 1655, which was in the middle of Republican England, I suppose, when Oliver Cromwell was basically dictator. As you can see, looking a little at the sorry for wear. Got some the spine's really sort of falling apart here. This front board is detached. The back one's also kind of only just hanging on. So this is not how the book would have looked in 1655. In fact, this book's been through at least a couple, I would say, cycles of restoration. This particular last one, just judging by that style of printing here, was probably done in the middle 19th century, something like that, I would suspect. And we can certainly tell that this has been restored because of its size, actually. By way of comparison, this is a 1607 work that was never been restored, so it's in its original vellum. I've just got it wrapped here in plastic to protect it. And the first thing you can see is the slight difference in size. So these were both folio size books, so big books. But you can see this has about an inch on this along the top edge there, and about half an inch actually on the fore edge. And that's because each time this book was restored, the church history book was restored, the bookbinder actually trimmed the pages. So whereas originally there would have been a very generous margin around the edges, this book is now, as you can see, it's been trimmed a little bit here at the top. There would have been a much bigger margin originally. So we're going to be quite conservative, I guess, in the way that we approach the this restoration. All we're seeking to do is to reattach the boards in a way that's robust, and then perform a conservative rebacking of the spine. And the reason I want to do that is, although this is quite worn, this leather actually here, this tooling is actually quite nice. So I really want to try and preserve that, if I can. But just put a piece of new leather here, and and then the book should be sort of set fair. Had a little sort of win recently. I went into a Michael's and I realised that you can actually buy bags of leather scraps for next to no money. This is actually $16 worth of random leather scraps, which is just wonderful because it means that you can have a great deal of fun sort of experimenting with different types of leather and making leather labels for books and so on. So we're certainly going to have some fun with that. This was a very slightly bigger, this was like a $30 spend. This is a leather stamping kit. Again, it's really possible to have some practice combining these two and just have a boatload of fun. So we're certainly going to come on to using that. But first we need to kind of understand how this spine was originally put together, to what extent these raised bands here are real or just false. As you can see, there's sort of some 19th century card under here. There's a bit of string there. So, really want to understand how exactly is this book put together. And what's quite interesting is the actual text block itself is very robust. I found absolutely no evidence of any looseness or tugging of any of the pages or gatherings. So the actual core of the book is very, very solid. The first 2 pages are attached to this board, which isn't a big concern, but this is actually very solidly put together. So I suspect that what we may find is underneath this 19th century stuff, we may actually have a very robust original binding that's basically persevered. So I think what we're looking at here is hopefully some quite superficial later restoration that we can navigate around and as we reattach these boards. So the next step is we're going to delve into this, find out what the significance of these bands is or was, what's underneath here, and to what extent this will form something we can preserve, or alternatively, do we need to actually replace some of this material? So that's the next step.